Hi, students. I'm going to talk to you about your final communication assessment. It's called Let's Talk About Sex. In this assessment, you are going to be showing off your communication skills that you've learned throughout the unit. You will have to use all of the steps that are listed in this chart to effectively express your feelings, wants, and needs in order to get consent or give consent and ensure a healthy, equitable, respectful relationship. There are going to be a total of 3 parts to this assignment. Part 1 and Part 2 must be completed properly to demonstrate proficiency. Part 3 will help you boost it to an exemplary. This assessment is going to mimic what you did in the communicating for consent practice with the addition of that final Part 3, which is a reflection. So I'm going to go over the directions briefly and show you the scenarios. The first thing you'll need to do when you open up Part 1 is read the 4 scenarios. So just like last time, there are multiple scenarios and you're going to choose the one that you think will be the easiest for you to demonstrate or the one that you feel most comfortable communicating in, and just choose one of the 4 scenarios to complete. Just a heads up, scenarios 1, 2, and 3 are related to communication that's needed for a sexual or sexual health scenario. Option 4 does not relate to sexual health at all. You're welcome to choose whichever scenario you'd like. The wheel of emotion is linked in the directions to help you identify the best and most precise emotion that you think you'd experience in that situation. Just like last time, I want you to follow the prompts in the script that I give you. There's a little template provided. So follow those prompts to help you write a detailed script that demonstrates what each character is going to say and do in the scenario. Shouldn't have to say it, but just in case I do, please make sure you keep your scripts PG-13. Thanks. In your script, you have to plan for your main character, you, starting by saying an I statement to effectively express themselves. Make sure you also plan for how you're going to use an assertive tone of voice and assertive body language by giving yourself some directions in the script. You also have to include what the other person is going to say or do. Remember, I mentioned I want you to assume that it's a healthy relationship with the other person based on equality and respect. This means that they should react to your I statement in a respectful, kind way. Finally, you have to explain what the main character is going to say or do to respond with empathy. That's the final piece of the communication skill we mastered. Once you submit this script, I'm going to give you some feedback that might not happen till tomorrow. And then you'll need to act it out in Part 2. You're going to have to demonstrate that you personally can use your voice and you can demonstrate body language to effectively communicate in this type of a scenario. Like I said, that's Part 2. Part 3 is going to require you to reflect on all of the communication skills that you used in your skit. And I'm going to give you more instructions on those parts later. And just like last time, please note that there's going to be options to help you feel comfortable completing the skit in Part 2. I do recognize that not everybody feels comfortable acting and presenting a skit to me, even if it's just something I'm going to see. So when you get to Part 2, you're going to see that there's quite a few different options to hopefully make you feel comfortable. And if there's an option that isn't listed and you want to ask about, just let me know. All right, so those are the directions. I'm just going to briefly walk you through the rest of this document. Scenario 1 is listed here. If you decide that you'd like to do this option, you're going to put a big X in this box and then use this template to help you write your script. Remember, there's prompts there to help you not forget anything. All right. Scenario 2 is in green. Again, if you choose this one, you're going to put a big X here and then use the template to help you include all the required pieces. Scenario 3 is in blue. Same thing. If you'd like to use this one, you put an X in the box and use the template. And finally, scenario 4 is in purple. Remember, this scenario has nothing to do with sex or a sexual relationship at all. It's a totally platonic relationship, but it still requires really good communication. So if you choose that one, put an X in the box and then use the template. After you write your script and you double check to make sure you've included all of the required pieces and you've done it effectively and properly, you're going to turn that in, and I'm going to take a look at it as soon as I can to make sure you're on the right track. I'd like you to do for now is just read over the directions here for part 2. I do not want anybody recording or certainly not presenting your skits today since I'm not there to help you with that. It can get a little bit messy and kind of complicated. So for today, what I'd like you to do is just read over the directions, understand what your options are, and maybe start making a plan for when and how you're going to complete part 2. We're going to have class time tomorrow, Tuesday, for people to present their skits in class. If you'd prefer to do it in the hallway, that's fine. You can make appointments during advisory. And then I think we'll probably also give Wednesday's morning class, make that an option for people to work as well if you still need to present or share your skit. So take a look at this when you're ready for it. There's 2 options. The preferred option is definitely for everybody to record their skit and upload it to Google Classroom. And the reason for that is because in part 3, you're going to self-assess, and it's nice to be able to watch your video back to see what you did or didn't do in your skit. But if you really do not want to be on video, take a look at option 2 and make a plan for how you're going to complete that, either during class on Tuesday or Wednesday or some other time. So for those of you who did a self-assessment on your communicating for consent assignment, this is going to look pretty similar. Essentially, what you're going to see in part 3 is all of the required elements are going to be listed in this self-assessment checklist over here on the left. And you're going to be asked to rate how effectively you used that element in your skit. So when you watch back your recording, you're going to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 about how effectively you included it. And then in the column on the right, you're going to provide some evidence about what you did or said to show that element. And then there will be a few reflection questions, which I'll ask you to complete to kind of think about how you could apply communication skills in your life outside of wellness class. Everybody can get an exemplary on this assignment. So if you do part 2 and you get a proficient, you can do part 3. So I really want to encourage everybody to tackle this once it's assigned, because it's a really easy way to bump your score up. And if you need any help, of course, you can just ask me.